So it finally happened. After 2 years of waiting, we got not one, but two new Onewheels. The Onewheel Pint X and the Onewheel GT. I'm really excited to tell you guys about all the new features they have and also compare the two new Onewheels to their predecessors. We're gonna compare the Onewheel Pint X with the normal Onewheel Pint and the Onewheel GT with the Onewheel XR. See everything that's new and everything that stayed the same. To start, the Pint X. We now get 18 miles an hour top speed, 12 to 18 miles of range and the same small form factor we've always known. 18 miles an hour top speed, that's 2 miles an hour more than the previous generation. That means where everybody's now cruising in pushback, you can comfortably cruise and get pushback a little bit later. Then the 12 to 18 miles of range, that's double the range of a Pint. Now this small commuter can actually be used to handle trails or do bigger commutes and still be very easy to carry with you. So really big thumbs up to Future Motion, that's amazing. The overall design stays the same, so that's also nice to know. You still have the mag handle, still have the little round tires, still easy to take with you, but there are some downsides. It weighs more. The previous Pint weighs 23 pounds, whereas this weighs 27 pounds. 27 pounds is the same weight as an XR. If I saw the pictures correctly, the bumpers are a bit thicker, probably to accommodate for a bigger battery, so we get that extended range, but that's gonna take away a little bit of the ground clearance on the Pint. I don't think this is gonna make a huge difference, but it's still worth mentioning. Then the price. The new Pint X comes in at $1,400. In my opinion, it's a great price. It's expensive, but still not as expensive as the XR, still a great entry price. Not many people seemed excited for the Onewheel Pint X. And I understand why. Because many of the already existing Onewheel Pints can be upgraded with a quad battery from Qi, and then you get the same range as you get with the Pint X. But there are also downsides to doing that. The first one is that your app isn't gonna work correctly anymore. Your battery status isn't gonna be correct, your estimated range isn't gonna be correct. Also, you have to install it yourself, and also the price, because a stock Pint costs $1,050 and a quad battery costs you $385. So the Pint X is actually a little bit cheaper than buying a stock Pint and then installing a quad. So I am very excited about the Pint X. I think it's amazing, the same small form factor, easy to take with you, but with double the range. I love it. And then the event reminded me of Apple, because what we all thought, this is it. We get the Pint X, it's an update, great, but yeah, not to be very excited about. Then they released the Onewheel GT, a completely redesigned Onewheel with 20 miles an hour top speed, 20 to 32 miles of range and a bigger battery with bigger cells for more power and more torque. Honestly, I don't like the looks of it. The board for me looks a bit too big and too heavy, the rails getting fatter to the ends. I don't really like that style. I like the style of the XR, looks like a DIY project, the wooden foot pads, the straight rails. I'm not a fan of the design. But I am a fan of the features. I'm a fan of the extra speed you get, because this again is gonna avoid nosedives. I'm also wondering about the pushback. Did they leave the pushback the same as on the XR, or did they go for a more aggressive approach like on the Pint? That's something we're gonna have to find out once people actually get their hands on these boards. Then except the new design, we also get new foot pads, concave foot pad in the back and in the front, with a better grip tape. This is something I've been waiting for a long time. I have a concave foot pad on my XR in the back and it's amazing. It helps with foot fatigue and gives you more control. I feel a lot more stable, it's easier to carve, and I sometimes really wish I had it in the front too. Well, now we have it, without having to search for aftermarket parts and messing with the sensor. We also got brighter lights, 300% brighter than on the XR. This means you can actually start using the board at night. I always felt like when driving at night I wouldn't see enough and I had to bring a flashlight with me. Now that's solved, 300% brighter, you can even change the brightness in the app. Speaking of lights, the LED bar from the Pint also found its way to the GT. For me, this was one of the big features on a Pint, which I really wish the XR had. Because just one glance down and you can really easily see your battery status, see if your sensors are engaged, if the Onewheel is on, if there are error codes. everything's in this small light bar. Whereas on the XR you always have to take out your phone and look, how much battery do I have? Is something wrong? Is the Onewheel actually on? So big improvement putting the LED light bar from the Pint to the GT. You also get the Mag Handle Pro now as standard on the Onewheel GT. A lot more convenient to carry it with the Mag handle than just with the handle on the front. Especially when going downstairs, you don't have to lift it as high because it's already higher. You're carrying it as a suitcase instead of as this weird brick. Also for putting it in the car it's easier, because you actually have something on the side to hold it and to put it in easily. There's a new tire, a redesigned tire, especially for Onewheels. The same width as a stock Vega from the Onewheel XR, but it should be a little bit more rounded and you get a threaded tire option. I'm really happy to see this, and I hope this tire is actually a lot better than the Vega, because many people dislike that tire. One downside is the rim size is different, which means that finding an aftermarket tire is going to be really difficult. Of course, I do expect companies like the Float Life, Craft and Ride, Flight Fins will jump on this and make new tires. And then the weight. Just as the Pint X, the GT adds a bit of weight because you get a bigger battery. This one comes in at a whopping 35 pounds. That's 8 pounds heavier than a Onewheel XR. I assume most of the weight will be in the back, where the batteries are. And then the price. $2,200. A Onewheel XR costs you $1,800. Add a CBXR battery for $650. You're already over the $2,200. So it's an expensive price, but actually not that bad for what you're getting. I'm still not a fan of the design, but I'm very excited to ride both new Onewheels, and I'm really curious to see how they behave in the real world. But not everything is positive. We have seen that Future Motion tries to make their boards as difficult as possible to modify. This means that extended range, swapping out BMS's batteries and controllers is getting a lot harder the last few years. And now with these new Onewheels, I'm assuming they made it even more difficult to switch out parts. So that means if one part breaks on your Onewheel, you're gonna have to send it back to Future Motion, which is gonna be, depending on where you live, very expensive. You're gonna lose the board for a very long time. So I hope Future Motion gets on the right to repair and gives us possibilities or service centers in different countries so it's closer and the turnaround time isn't that bad. I think if parts were just more available and we'd actually see the price in advance, there would be a lot more Onewheels riding around with a lot less issues, and people would look at Future Motion in a completely different daylight. Nevertheless, I'm very excited about these new Onewheels, and once they come to Belgium, I'm gonna try and get my hands on them, try to do a test ride, and then make a video about it and tell you guys my thoughts about how they behave and how they act in the real world. And who knows, maybe I'll even like the design of the GT when I see it in person. Until then, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more Onewheel content, please subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments down below what you think about the new Onewheels, and if you ordered one, and which one, and why. I love to hear your opinions about them. I'll see you in the next one.